Welcome to Syncast powered by Commercient. I'm Heath McKnight. Joining me today is Cedric Pittman, and he is the Commercial Sales Manager at Aggregate Transport, or Aggtrans. How are you doing today, Cedric?
I'm great, Heath.
Awesome.
Glad to join you.
Yeah, and thank you so much. So tell me a little bit about Aggtrans and what you do for the company as Commercial Sales Manager.
Sure. Aggtrans is a building material supplier in the Baltimore, Washington metro market. That's the area we serve. Primarily, the items that we supply to construction companies are basically crushed stone, sand and gravel. Bulk commodity items are our main items, with soil, and then of course transportation is a big part of our business.
Excellent. And how long have you been in the position of Commercial Sales Manager?
I've been here for 20 years.
Wow. Awesome.
Now, I've been with the company for 20 years, I should say. I've been in this role for about 7 years. I've worked in multiple areas within our company before taking on this role back in 2016.
Excellent, excellent. And I've spoken to you before, and you also told me that the Stone Store is kind of, it's part of the company, but that is kind of more of a B2C, meaning, you know, somebody could go in, hey, I got this project I'm working on for the summer. You know, what kind of stone could I take a look at? Is that right?
That is correct. It's kind of a mix of B2C and some B2B. We do have commercial sales that take place at the Stone Store level, but it also is a retail storefront set up for homeowners, do-it-yourselfers, light contractors, smaller companies who are primarily doing landscaping and hardscaping in our market.
Awesome. Excellent. And I think one of the cool things when I last spoke to you was you were talking about your role as a commercial sales manager. And I think you have a pretty cool management style and philosophy, which helps maximize your team's strengths and success. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that. Because of
the business that we're in, we are a part of the construction industry. There are a lot of finite and definite solutions to problems within our market, but there's also a lot of creativity required to help solve problems that we face. So my management style centers around being creative in solving problems, being creative in presenting our value to the market and our value to customers. Believe it or not, we're selling a commodity. We're selling bulk stone, and it's something that our customers can get through many channels. So in order for us to make sure that we stand out, I believe in being as creative as possible in how we present ourselves and how we face the market.
Excellent, excellent. And a little bit more on the creativity side. When I worked prior to Commercient and prior to, I was a writer for a few years, I did a lot of video production, and a lot of it was tied to a sales team. So they would sell, you know, video production, commercials, et cetera. And usually the sales team was led by somebody who, I guess you could say, is a little bit more left brain, had a very traditional, probably B school, business school background, maybe an MBA and everything, whether they're a business manager, vice president of sales. And I know that we had kind of talked about how you're a little bit more like me on the right brain, more creative side. And I think that's pretty cool, because if you were to say, Heath, you know, how many right brain creative people do you know that are in sales? I'd say very, very few. But I think that can bring kind of like a different way of thinking to something. And like you said, it helps you stand out because you've got this competition. And I was wondering if you could go into a little bit more detail about that, and especially the creativity to help out with that team first and collaborative environment.
Yep, that's one of the first things that comes to mind for me. One of the things that I think is a big part of creativity is collaborating, is being open to talking, getting together with the team and talking through some of the problems we face in the market, whether it be from a prospecting perspective, from sales. I try to train my people as much as I can to make sure that when we're communicating, that whoever we're communicating to knows there's a human on the other side of that, as opposed to, operating in a really strict manner. In construction, the people that we deal with, for the most part, really aren't used to dealing with people who are, super high energy. We try to be funny. We try to, like I said, come up with creative solutions to problems. Yeah. We try to work together and talk things through with our customers, and we do the same thing internally. Throw things off the board, spitball different problems. When we have meetings, one of the things that I try to do is I'll bring one problem to the meeting. We have a weekly sales meeting, and as opposed to covering a wide variety of things, I'll select one issue just based on what I've heard maybe the previous week, and we work through and try to solve that problem. One of the key things that I try to do as much as I can is ask questions. I try to ask as many questions as I can to help our reps get to the solution that will work for the particular problem that we're trying to solve. Excellent.
And kind of staying within the sales world, but kind of switching to technology. You and I, like I said earlier, spoke before, and you had mentioned that your company was using a different CRM than Salesforce, which is what you're using now. Right. What was the deciding factor of moving from this other CRM to Salesforce to help your company kind of improve how you manage your prospects, leads, customers, sales, you name it?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things. One was thinking about the future of our company. Salesforce sort of presented an all-encompassing view of how we can help manage our business. We're still in the very early stages of that on the sales end, but there's some marketing opportunities. There's some even opportunities for our accounting department to get involved and for us to all connect through that CRM. So that was one of the things that we thought about going in. In addition to that, as we begin to grow as a company and continue to grow as a company, one of our challenges is the data that is coming at us from a standpoint that any salesperson within our company really has three functions. One, you have to go prospect. The second piece is managing your existing accounts. And then the third piece is even some light project management. So as you can imagine, doing those three things ends up producing an awful lot of data. So we really needed a system that can help us manage that data, help us compartmentalize that data. And Salesforce presented that opportunity for us. And so far, so good.
Excellent. And Commercient SYNC, so what we're doing is we're integrating data from Infor FACTS to Salesforce. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about why that's important for your sales team and also for you as the sales manager.
What's really important for us, and it took me a while to really explain this to our implementation partners, unlike maybe some other companies, Infor FACTS as our business system is really going to be used for the foreseeable future. I know a lot of companies have a business system that operates underneath their CRM, where we kind of work with both together. Reason for that is that over a period of time, our business system has been completely customized around our business, and not only our industry, but how we as a company specifically do business. And it was going to be important for us to make sure that stayed intact, and we added that layer of CRM on top of that. So that data sync is really, really important because not only are we now relying on Salesforce, we are, and probably forever will be, also very reliant on Infor FACTS. So it's important that data is transferred cleanly and that it works works on both ends.
Excellent. And, let me back up a little bit to Infor FACTS. You had told me previously that you do your quoting in the ERP,
Right.
which
Right.
is super important.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the way that our system works, obviously in this business, there's a lot of proposals sent out. And going back to what I said earlier, over a period of time, we've customized our ERP system to handle our quotes. And we deal with a lot of different units of measure. We deal with a lot of different packaging systems in terms of how we ship things. And FACTS is set up to handle all of that and process the numbers in the right way. And then that data is, of course, transferred into Salesforce. So we use the data to help us make decisions, but the functionality of what we do still happens inside of FACTS.
Excellent. Excellent.
And just to add to that, our accounting department, our dispatch department, how we ship things, all of that works, in and around our FACTS system.
Awesome. Awesome. And when you're saying that those quotes are transferred over, and probably also the quotes won, the deals that are made, it's Commercient that is syncing that over to Salesforce.
Correct. Absolutely.
Awesome. And a couple more questions about Salesforce. For you as the sales manager, does it give you a pretty good idea of what the overall sales pipeline is looking at any given time, whether it's monthly, weekly, quarterly, annually?
Absolutely. And it's getting much better because for me, it's less spreadsheets that I have to produce. A few less reports that I have to run, because I've created some reports in Salesforce that, run automatically through a workflow. So, but absolutely using the information that's in FACTS being transferred into Salesforce and then formatted into reports that I can use to report to my superiors and then help us make decisions, business decisions moving forward.
Awesome. I think when I speak to customers or pretty much anybody involved in sales and even operations, I think one of the biggest issues is the spreadsheet. And look, I learned a lot about Excel, learned a lot about, managing that, but I have heard horror stories of a deal was lost because somebody was on vacation. They had a spreadsheet that they forgot to share with the manager, and they couldn't get in, and the person was out of the country, so they couldn't reach them to get the password into the computer. Yes. And IT couldn't get it. And we're talking maybe $10,000-$20,000 deal lost because of that.
Yeah, I can believe it. I mean, you can get addicted to spreadsheets, believe me.
Yeah. And then the naming.
They have their use. They definitely have their use, but the more you can minimize them but take that data and make it actionable. That's one of our big things. The information that does go into Salesforce that we manually input, I try to emphasize to the team, please make it actionable, because we just don't want to be building, a database. We want stuff that we can actually take some action and move our company forward with.
Awesome. And getting a little bit back to Commercient, what did your team, have they said, Cedric, if I didn't have this data syncing over to Salesforce from Infor FACTS, I may not be able to, do my job as effectively without that data. Like maybe it's, quick access on if certain invoices were paid, or, what did this customer order a year ago? They don't always order regularly. Anything like that they've shared with you about that data from Infor that we're syncing over?
Absolutely. Mainly it's the access. Salesforce being a cloud-based system, the fact that the data is coming over, we can access it anywhere. In our business, in many cases, we're in the field. Going back to what I said earlier, that third piece of our job function is light project management. And what I mean by light is that, we sometimes have to get boots on the ground in front of our customers, making sure things are running smoothly, to answer any questions that they have, sometimes solve problems. The fact that we can do that, be comfortable with doing it on the road, make sure our information is uploaded and inputted from the road, makes things so much easier, so much smoother, and it saves us time.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we wrap up our call, I was wondering if you have 2, 3, or even 4 tips that you can pass along to our viewers, leadership tips that could help them in their own work or in their life, or as they're moving up the ladder into management. Are there 2 or 3 leadership tips that you can share?
Yep. I would say one of the questions, going back to questions, my first tip would be always ask questions, and try to ask good questions. One of the questions that I always go to, that I ask myself first, and I challenge my people with regularly, is what assumptions am I making? In sales, sometimes we make a lot of assumptions. Even the data causes us to make some assumptions. So that would be tip number 2. Constantly ask yourself, what assumption are you making? And then the tip number 3 is, really it's 2 of them, but know your story and tell your story. That's really important. And being creative in that, in that realm and telling your story is really, really important. So those are probably 3 tips that I could pass on.
That's awesome. And just a little bit about the creativity. There might be somebody watching this video that says, well, how can I use creativity to help my team with the collaboration and everything? What would you say to them?
I would say think about doing or trying something that you have never tried before. There are many times that we sit down with a problem and there are a few solutions that may pop into our head, or a few solutions that we may be thinking about, and you immediately say, no, that wouldn't work. Going back to asking yourself, what assumptions am I making? Are you assuming that wouldn't work, or do you know it wouldn't work? And talk those things through. And a lot of times what starts out looking like maybe a solution that you've come up with, once you've gotten to the point where you're okay with, coming up with some crazy idea, putting it out there and talking it through, that might not be the final solution, but the fact that you were, courageous enough to put it out there, it sometimes will help you work your way to what that final solution is.
Awesome. And Cedric, how can our viewers learn more about your company and about you?
Well, I'm definitely on LinkedIn. Our company is on LinkedIn, Aggtrans.com, thestonestore.com. We also have a fully functional website that we keep up to date, and we're also on all the socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, or X now. We try to stay active and stay out there, and in those areas we are trying to be as creative as we can within the construction market. So
awesome.
Certainly available.
Thank you so much for your time today, Cedric. I really enjoyed our call.
Okay, thanks, Eve.
Thank you for tuning in to SYNCcast powered by Commercient. Learn more about ERP and CRM integration with Commercient SYNC by logging onto commercient.com.